Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session on AI monetization, where we chat with industry experts on enterprise use cases of AI, specifically Gen AI. Today, we have with us Jalaj Thanaki, who has over 12 years experience as a data scientist, machine learning engineer. Jalaj is currently the senior solution architect for Gen AI at Nvidia. Jalaj, I must tell you that's probably the coolest job title out there right now.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
take it that as a compliment though.
absolutely. Senior solution architect Gen AI at Nvidia. That must be the coolest job out there. And before that, Jalaj was a principal data scientist at Cactus Labs, where she was focusing on application of NLP in the publishing industry. And she's also a popular author of two books, one focused on machine learning solutions and the other one focused on Python NLP. Jalaj, thanks for taking time to do this. Welcome to this show.
Thank you so much, Benny, for having me. It was really a pleasuring uh platform for me actually to talk about my experiences and everything. So thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So, Jalaj, one of the things that you wanted to clarify to the audience is the whole Gen AI ecosystem is just like populated with so many kinds of components. Inside those components, there are so many players. Could you maybe help us just structure or crystallize the ecosystem or the playground? What are the components? What are some of the players? The pros and cons of some of this? That'll be very helpful.
Sure. So let me begin with the entire Gen AI era that I think boiling up since 2020, people are actually building up a lot of big machine learning models. I would specifically mention that start in 2017 where Transformer are actually released. And then slowly and gradually BERT, Roberta, those things are coming up. Then GPT first version, GPT second version, and GPT third version. When GPT third version actually came out, this is before even GPT 3.5 specifically released. In September 2022, people are not actually calling this as a Gen AI, but people are actually getting that value that, okay, now NLP ecosystem specifically is going to revamp with the different architectures and different LLMs which are going to come up. And then we all know with the chat GPT, everything changed, everything blasted. Okay. So, so I would say in a nutshell, 2022 to 2023 was the crucial year where people recognizing that there are large language models which can actually change the NLP ecosystem specifically to begin with. Now, in terms of like in Gen AI, what are the actual components? Okay. So the actual component, if I'll lie down, is going to be like data on which this large language model has been trained, the model itself. And yes, we never ever forget that on hardwares because they are very large scale training that these are on which these models are being trained for a
Mhm,
longer period of time.
mhm,
So these are the specific components of the LLM, but let me actually cover the use case parts where this large language model can fit in. Okay.
mhm,
So now let's fast forward from 2022 to today.
mhm,
Lot of use cases in terms of, I would say, Gen AI, and which we can actually say that are buzzing around is
mhm,
around RAG,
mhm,
aka basically retrieval augmented generations.
mhm,
Okay, and why they are in a lot of buzz is because every company or every use case uh, are having some kind of a proprietary data and
mhm,
they need to do the standard search, but they don't want it to do like confuse their clients, their user base. So
mhm,
that's like right now on top of the market right now. Every other company can have, and they are having actually a lot of RAG use cases.
mhm,
Apart from that, because LLM came into the picture, lot of industry actually revamped their entire workflows. One of the industry that I could actually give an example for is a lot of customer service interaction which are happening on a larger scale. Those are being like really revamped. People are really going or integrating this large language model into their workflow so that their operational cost can be reduced. Apart from that, I would say I'm coming from the researcher background primarily. So I know that researchers are going crazy with these LLM technologies. What they are actually doing, initially people actually take out the research paper printout, making notes, everything. Now that's gone. They are using like speech recognition tools, note taking tools, making the audio notes, put that audio notes as a input to this large language models and coming up with their literature reviews. So those are like a very, very innovative way of using LLM. And then there are a lot of productivity tools which are integrating this Gen AI and LLMs to boost their user experience. So that is what exactly I think, in a nutshell, in terms of an ecosystem is going to be happening.
Understood. That is a very helpful overview, Jalaj. So, if one of those use cases you mentioned, which is, researchers, research papers, or manuscript assessments and things like that, right? And since you worked on a use case like that before, what was the state of the world pre-Gen AI and post-Gen AI? Is it a very clean line, or is it a very gradual thing that you have seen, both from a technical standpoint and from a customer standpoint?
Sure. I mean, that's a great question because a lot of people will not imagining that what is the era before and after. So love to answer that.
Sure.
So I have actually adopted, used and worked when there is no Gen AI, when there is no large language model. That there was only one thing which we call language model, Ngram language models. Okay. Those are the most reliable technology because those are somewhere very white box kind of a thing. So from a technical standpoint, if I give you an idea, you know exact mathematical formula, you know exactly what is going on when you are actually training them. You exactly can also pinpoint of the problems why the language model is not performing in certain scenario by debugging certain level of technical details, like what is the probability of certain word distribution look like. So right now, let's say in terms of those kind of a thing, let's say if anybody is using any of the LLM right now, if we ask them why your LLM is hallucinating or why your LLM is actually generating a biased content, there is no clear
idea.
So that's the, I would say, from a technical perspective, accuracy and some kind of an observability around this model evolved. And that is actually giving a lot of technical folks and technical community a chance to work upon on this problem, because this is kind of still unknown and there are a lot of guardrails projects are coming up. But let's say if we start from that Ngram LLM, where observability is the great thing, you can get the accuracy like in a mediocre range. And then there is a second era which came, is like where BERT, Roberta things came up. That's where actually is kind of a very, very balanced approach, because you are not like, you have some kind of an observability, you have some kind of a accuracy benefit. So that's the best part which actually happened. And then last but not the least is like Gen AI. When you start doing things, accuracy is going to be like shooting drastically up. So that's what actually businesses need. Like, oh, we need accurate solution. But when it comes to like this kind of an observability, this kind of challenges where your LLM is actually not performing in that certain 2 to 5% of a scenario, that's going to be very challenging. And what innovatively happening is technology, I would say, adoption wise, putting in front of the solution, powering up the solution with LLMs is not changing a lot. But what is changing a lot and what companies are working on is how to actually deliver the right user experience. Because let's say when this Ngram language model was coming up, and you notice, oh, there is some biasness, you said that, oh, in my next run, or maybe after a 6 month period of time, this program is going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Because most of the company are doing the fine tuning by themselves, or building those ngram or BERT pre-training affordable way by themselves. So they have a control. I would say they have a larger control around what kind of a behavior this model is adhering to, versus with all this large language model, you can't have a really a good control of it. And that's where I would say in this entire ecosystem, one of the crucial part that people have started working on is guardrails. Because there is no other way. You can't just go to, let's say, Claude, OpenAI, saying that, oh my God, your model is hallucinating a lot. No, that's not a chance. That's not a chance for a person who is actually integrating those LLM into their workflow. They have to figure out by themselves what is the guardrails that they need to place, how to manage the security aspects and all those stuff. Okay.
Right.
So that is what is happening. So accuracy wise, yes, all the LLMs are actually giving the very good boost, but it comes with the disadvantage of the observability as well as how to guardrail it properly based on your use cases.
That's very well framed, the accuracy and observability trade-off almost, right?
Yeah.
No, so from your perspective as a data scientist, right? What, when you were solving a manuscript assessment or a problem before or now, what has changed? Like if you take the same problem and solve it right now, are you ripping apart out all the old ML models that you're using and replacing it with a new one, or is there some coexistence? How is that happening?
Yes. So right now I would say it's a coexisting kind of a scenario.
Okay.
So let's say I will, because you take that particular use case, let me break it down.
Yeah.
So let's say some of your client will say that, oh, I want very minimal kind of a assessment where I can just figure it out whether the grammar of the manuscript is okay or not. Okay. Versus somebody can just say that, oh, I just want my entire manuscript to be rewritten and give me like a very in-depth idea about the language quality, the content itself. So in that case, for the first point, I would not go with the LLM, say why there is a specific thing for specifically this use case. There are a lot of constraints. They said that, okay, fine, just grammar. Okay, I don't want it to touch any of the other things, which is like formatting, because in manuscript there are formatting, there are guidelines, there are a lot of things plays a major role. That's where I would say that, earlier approaches, which are like not a large language model based thing, which are somewhere fitting into that BERT or a ngram LLM. That is what is going to be much more effective, because 1 to 2% of an extra changes or not making the changes where it's needed is going to impact the accuracy as well as the acceptance of the certain manuscript. Versus in a second use case where somebody is asking, oh, I need exhaustive editing, I need exhaustive amount of suggestions. That's where these LLMs are going to come very, very handy, because they can't understand the differentiation that any subject matter expert can have in mind, that what is the necessary changes, what are the good to have changes, and where we shouldn't be making any changes if there are certain technical details going on within the manuscript.
Right.
So just to quote a very, very interesting example, people just think that, oh, by writing the prompt, you can get things edited. What's so big deal with the manuscript editing?
Right.
So to surprise you, most of the LLMs, and I'm not talking about like open source, a lot of proprietary LLMs that we need to like really quote a lot of negation rules saying that, oh, don't edit numbers. Okay. Don't edit mathematical equations. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Basically, all these are very stupid thing, but that is what is exactly happening. That's where we can say that older technology are actually rescuing, because they don't understand, they don't touch. And when the things are not getting messed up, that's the better situation compared to your solution is doing some changes and then you are actually trying to reverse all those changes. And with LLM, given that there are a lot of non-deterministic behavior happening with the large language models, it's completely annoying as well as unsolved problem right now, that how you can actually revert the unnecessary changes or unnecessary answer or unnecessary information which are provided by this large language model. So that's where I would say there is a coexistence going on. And for this use case, there is no other way around. And just to extend this point, there are a lot of people are also afraid that, Gen AI is becoming so much powerful that their jobs are going to go away and all. Nothing is happening. Just keep that in your mind, that human is having the capability to evolve. Machines are evolving, but at a very, very low pace right now. Okay. So I would just quote this particular use case saying that the way Binny will look into the manuscript and can give a suggestion to some of the authors versus how Jalaj can do it and how OpenAI's GPT can do it is totally different. Okay. And that's where human value is also there. So the coexistence is not just in terms of a technology spectrum, but coexistence also still exist in terms of like AI solution with the human in place. So there are a lot of use cases like that. If you take up any of the financial use cases where people wanted to adopt Gen AI, they can't just say that, we have a fully automated pipeline. All this older current models and the human QA or quality check needs to be happening. So it's not just about the different technologies and different blend of models, but it's also about how people are actually creating the workflow with the help of the subject matter expert at the end of the day.
Makes sense. I mean, this is one component of a much larger workflow, and the workflows still follow rules of reality and the world and are far away from the LLM by itself. Yeah, makes sense. So one interesting point you made, Jalaj, was that, one of the paradigms that are pretty new in the LLM world is this whole concept of prompting using natural language, English, right? Now, I'm curious, before LLMs in the BERT, Roberta world or the Ngram world, was there a concept of prompting using English? Was there small pockets where you would still use it, or that's a completely new approach that only works in LLMs?
So basically, earlier approaches were actually a combination of a transformer architecture, which is encoder-decoder. Okay. Why GPT is unique? Because they remove this encoder part. Okay. What if I just wanted to put it in a very normal way, very, very layman term? Let's say if you observe a behavior of a 2-year or a 3-year-old kid, they don't understand the language, but they mimic things, right? They mimic what you are speaking. They also mimic what is your next word is. So that is what exactly the task of a decoder. And that is what actually, I would say GPT started doing. They removed this encoder part and try to fine tune the decoding part. So earlier when the BERT, Roberta, all this LLMs were there, I would not say LLMs is just a language model compared to the size that other LLMs currently are having. But I would say that at that point of time, that is what is not at all happening. It's much more like a very controlled manner of training where you are actually masking. Let's say you have 5 words in the sentence. You randomly mask second and fifth word and let your neural network train in order to predict those fill in the blank kind of a problem statement. So those are the models which are not having a capability to do the prompting. That actually changed with the T5 specifically, because T5 is actually mixing the encoder aspect as well as decoder aspect. That's the only language model where Google actually proposed that we can do with the encoder decoder architecture. With the encoder decoder architecture, we can also do the prompting. Okay, so that's the only, I would say, one paper which is actually giving that idea you can do that. But apart from that, there is no groundbreaking paper, I would say, which is actually saying that with the encoder decoder, you can do the fill in the blanks kind of a situation, as well as you're actually doing the prompting kind of a thing. You can definitely do that with those architecture, but there is nothing significantly happened in the past with this approach, which
Yeah,
tells developers community that, oh, with the encoder decoder architecture also you can do the prompt.
makes sense. Okay. So this was very helpful where you covered pre and post LLM, the change happening within the data scientist community, right? Now, when we go to the client or the customer end, what has changed there because of this last 20 months of new technology in LLMs? Are they asking you for more use cases? Are they asking for the same thing cheaper? Are they taking this technology to more mission critical use cases? What's on the other side? What's happening?
So I would say because given that chat GPT, a lot of people are actually exploring by themselves with the
Yeah.
different uh, workflows. What I have seen is people are very smart enough to make their life easier. Okay,
Mm,
so they are having a lot of innovative way to use GPTs.
mm,
Now, as I mentioned, there are a lot of uh, industry where you can't really just use GPTs,
mm,
or for that matter, not just GPT, Claude, or any other LLMs,
mm,
be it open source or a proprietary one.
mhm.
That's where what they are demanding is security is one of the aspects. Then there are
Mhm.
a lot of features that they are actually asking. Oh, let me quote my example.
Mm.
Before GPT era, I was like, and I think most of the people can relate to this example. If you are writing certain critical emails, you don't care. You need to like spend extra 5 minutes to make sure your tone is right and everything. And
Mm.
then what you end up having is, okay, let me have my GPT having a custom instruction going on
Mhm.
for, let's say, okay, there is escalation happening. This is the tone you need to use. There is a pleasant mail. This is the tone you have to use. And then you have like saved all those custom instruction, those prompts, and you're just good to go. You're saving a lot of times. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's how I actually started using it in my regular life. So if somebody is actually like, if I'm the user and if Gmail is telling me how I can actually make your life easier with the Gen
Mm.
AI, with their Gemini kind of models, I would say
Mm.
that can you give me like a custom instruction there and there in a Gmail? Can you give
Mm.
me those kind of things? So that's the similar story with the other user where
Mhm.
users are coming up saying that this is my workflow. But given that I have a constraint in terms of cost, in terms of like constraint around not to use like open proprietary LLMs because my universities are not accepting my paperwork, a lot of things, kind of
Yeah.
things. And then they said that, okay, can you just help me to prototype this kind of feature that is
Mhm.
going to be very, very useful.
Yeah.
So I would say users' expectation in terms of features are going really, really up.
Mhm.
Uh, to begin with, people don't really care about the cost, honestly.
Mhm. Mhm.
They need accuracy, they need performance, they need
Mhm.
uptime.
Mm.
So that is, I think, what I'm getting. And
Mhm.
last but not the least, because there are a lot of startups which are coming up with the Gen AI kind of a use case and all. I would say a lot of customer can still use their platform if they are providing the very nice and on point UX experience.
Mm.
Users are not coming to of these any of the platform because they have a raw chat GPT. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's be very, very straightforward here, that people are using XYZ platform. Why? Because they like the entire ecosystem there.
Mhm.
I have been hearing this story from the customer a lot that I am using XYZ app to actually taking my notes. I'm using Notion or I'm using specifically Updation to actually summarize, organize my notes. Now, can you give me a framework where I can actually dump all these things and it can generate a report for me?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, any of the startup, if they are doing this and if they nail or understand what is the workflow looking like based on your customer requirement, and if they are going to give them a nice user experience, it's
Yeah.
okay if your LLM is not going to be working at 100% to 95% of accuracy. They don't need accuracy. They need that entire automation. So I would say the automation and the agent kind of a workflow is going to be the new thing in future for all the users because they are creating in silos those kind of a workflow for by themselves for making their life easier. So I would like to comment like that in the specific use case UX UI. entire workflow experience and how much you can automate their workflow is the key here. Because otherwise they anyways have an access of different LLMs which are open sourced and proprietary.
Right. No, it's a great point where you're saying the focus should be in focusing on that end user pain. And the end user doesn't really care what foundation model you're using and is it 80% accurate or 95% accurate. But everything needs to be in one place for them rather than going to 5 different places. That makes a lot of sense. And since you mentioned about proprietary and open source models, Jalaj, so now you've defined the use cases. We are in the world of LLMs right now, and there are these managed services ones, OpenAI, Anthropic, all of that. There are a bunch of open source ones, and there are the cloud providers who have some of these models plus their own. How should somebody think about what to pick based on their use cases? What are the filters? What are the trade-offs?
Oh, that's a great question, I would say, because 80 to 90% of people don't understand when to begin, how to begin, and what to begin with.
Okay.
So let me break it down in a very cheat sheety format for our users.
Yeah.
So let's say if you are a small to medium sized organization, you need to keep in mind 4 things, I would say. What is the performance? What is the accuracy? What is the scale? And what is the cost? These are the 4 things which are very, very important to begin with. So let's say if you have a use case which is accuracy critical, you need also the scale. Okay. It's okay if you have like a okayish performance. Okay. And you have an infinite budget. Okay. That's the first category. Then in that case, I would definitely suggest that, okay, because accuracy is the topmost priority, go with the proprietary model. Explore by yourself on those fronts. Okay. Scale will come because you have a money to pour in. Okay. Then you can go directly with those model providers or any of the bigger cloud providers to satisfy your need in terms of how many requests you can serve within a minute and all those stuff. Okay. But now go to the second aspect of it, where you are a mid-size organization to a small-size organization. You have an accuracy need, but you don't have a budget. That's where I would say, if you have a limited budget to actually do some kind of a supervised fine-tuning, open source models are going to be the great deal for you, not just for the shorter period of time, but for a very long period of time. Because accuracy, scale, security, and performance, you can get it through open source models if you do like a very minimal kind of a supervised fine-tuning. And then you have a control to decide, okay, when to host, how to host, where to host, and how to give a access to certain user group. That's how you can control your overall cost there. And let's say there are a lot of people, practically what is happening is, oh, we don't want it to even do the supervised fine tuning because we need to do like a 5 to 10 iteration. We don't know to begin with whether we are going to do it 5 iteration or whether we are going to end up doing like a 10 iteration. Then in that case, I would definitely suggest to use a smaller foundation models, and then give it a shot for at least 1 or 2 supervised fine-tuning methodology. Whether it's working, not working, you will get it. You will get there. It's going to work out for me, for my use cases or not. So you can be very, very agile in this process. Okay. Now let's talk about where people are saying that, oh, accuracy is not at all my concern. I don't even bother about the scale because my scale is very, very high. What I'm really focusing on a performance. That's where this entire technical stream of quantization and porting the foundation model into C, C++ domain or a language is going to play a major role. Because let's say I can quote the example. If you are kind of building any of the chatbot, which is a customer facing chatbot, you don't have a liberty to have that like, okay, I will give you the answer after 10 minutes. You don't have a liberty. Your answer should be very, very fast. Even if it's inaccurate, for that matter, it's work. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
So for that matter, your performance should be really, really high. And that's why a lot of people, they are actually choosing smaller open source foundation model. They just quantize it and they make it productionized. Okay. And in my last 2 to 3 years of experience, what I'm actually hearing a lot is now people have started realizing it, that how much money that they are pouring into Gen AI ecosystem by
Yeah.
integrating this LLMs, and
Okay.
everybody actually cares about their operation cost. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, GPT-5 will also come, or any GPT 3.5 version is getting very very cheaper.
Mm.
Okay, most of the time what they don't realize it, what is the scale at what they are operating. So let's
Yeah.
say if people don't know what are the user base that they are targeting, what are the number of requests that they are going to get per minute or per hour format.
Yeah.
Sometimes what happen, oh, accuracy is my priority, let me use GPT-4.
Mm.
Okay, and they don't realize that, oh, they are going to have 500 concurrent request coming up. Okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
end of the month they'll say like, why my OpenAI bill is going up.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything wrong in a solution, technical solution aspect,
Right.
but they
Right.
never ever think about like what is my traffic pattern look like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most, I would say, untouched territory when you actually speak to even different stakeholder within your company or outside of your company, where you ask this question, what is the traffic pattern look like? Oh, we
Mm-hmm.
don't know. We are just building the solution. We
Mm-hmm.
need to do something about it. And
Yeah.
then they quote very randomly to any of the cloud providers saying that, oh, maybe we are going to hit 1,000 uh, requests per minute. And then if you actually calculate in terms of a money, it's going to be
Yeah.
like, it's better if you have like a foundation models, supervised fine tuning done on top of that foundation model and hosted by yourself. That's going to be like much cheaper compared to just taking this route. And practically speaking, it's okay if you are thinking that go to market is right now a priority. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'll lose this opportunity. That's where for a stopgap solution, you can definitely do that. That's the
Mm-hmm.
better for company. But I'm right now talking in terms of long-term solutions, like
Yeah.
how companies and how developers can actually give their value in a long term aspect, not just,
Yeah.
oh, I have made one or two solutions which are actually hitting to production.
Yeah.
So I would say consider all these four parameters, uh, bring all the data points, and then think what is actually aligning with your company's strategy in a
Yeah.
short term manner as well as on a long term manner, because
Mm-hmm.
that is going to give a lot of clarity to your uh, machine learning teams, your operation teams, your strategic team. And if you are in a that situation of a mid-sized role where you need to bridge this gap, these
Yeah.
are the critical parameter which you can actually pass on to your leadership team, as
Yeah.
well as down in the hierarchy, that this is what the overall way of thinking around this ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I know for the
Mm.
fact that a lot of people just get excited about like going live, and
Yeah.
then after 6 months they can't afford it.
Correct.
Or they realize that, okay, now it's a time that my cloud provider is asking me that what is the run rate looking like in the
Mm.
future. Can you just do some kind of an upfront commitment in front of me, because you are using my proprietary solution and you are then stuck,
Right.
because you yourself don't know what is the future looking like of a Gen
Right.
AI features, and
Mm-hmm.
you are keep checking it on everyday basis what is the adoption looking like. Okay,
Right. Right.
so until and unless people are not very sure about their adoption, their traffic pattern,
Mm.
they shouldn't be just taking the blind decision in a rush
Mm.
of just hitting to the market.
Mm-hmm.
That's the golden advice that I can give to anyone. Because otherwise, after 6 months, you will regret it. But you
Yeah.
will regret it.
Yeah. There's a lot of clarity on that very tough decision to make. So I have a bunch of follow-up questions. I'll go one by one. So the first one is, again, for the audience who's looking to take an OpenAI versus an open source one, right? Um, when we think of an open source model, the immediate questions that come to mind is the talent and the cost required to pay that talent for the CI/CD deployment, all of that stuff, where all of that is largely abstracted away on an OpenAI scenario. So, are you saying that even factoring in all of that in the long term, this is a lot more cheaper than okay,
Yeah, yeah. So
okay,
I'll break it down further, Vinny,
yeah,
for our audience. So let's say uh, your supervised fine tuning on a mid-sized data set, I can just say that if you have a 1 to 5 GB worth of data where you wanted to do some kind of a fine tuning, and if you have some kind of an open source reference point, how to begin with, what to begin with, I would say 5 run is more than enough for you to get what you are expecting in terms of a model. Okay. Now, based on your use case, because you have now a supervised fine-tuned model, first of all, you have your own IP. You have a full control what kind of data going in, going out, which means you can sure tell your customer what kind of a security parameter you are actually putting there. Okay. Third thing, if anything can go on a toss, you are not dependent on a third party. You know the answer, or if you don't know the answer, you have a use case or you have a specific point what to improve upon. Okay. Fourth thing, in terms of a cost. So let's say, because there are a lot of things I wanted to clear specifically here, because a lot of proprietary models are pay as you go. Okay. But let's say there are different providers too. So let's say if you are going to directly go to model providers, they'll say that we are giving you the limited security features. And for certain use cases, that limited security features will not work. Okay. If specifically if you are the company and you have a user base in Europe, it's going to be disastrous. Okay. Then you decide, okay, fine, because model providers are not giving me the enough security measures, let me go to any of the cloud providers who can actually do that for me.
Correct.
They will charge you for the pay as you go, but when your usage will increase, they'll also wanted to make money at the end of the day. So they'll started saying that, okay, fine, we have seen your usage. Your usage is going beyond certain bracket. Now, can you just upfront commit something?
Yeah.
And with the current ecosystem, what is happening is, best way is not to stick with one platform, and nobody wanted to stick with one platform, right? And that's where the challenges arise, that where you wanted to put your money in. Okay. So that's aspect when I can connect the security as well as the cost. Now let's take on a very different side when you have your own LLM. Okay. You have a control what kind of a user base you wanted to target. So let's say if your cost going haywire, you can just say that this is the target audience and this is the use case, which is kind of a most critical for me. Let me just host my XYZ suite of fine-tuned LLM for them. Okay. And let me actually just go back using like simple GPT 3.5 kind of a model at a cheaper cost for a normal use case. Okay. So that's where you can actually optimize the entire costing aspect of LLMs.
Right.
And that's a lot of so why people actually afraid to actually deploy their LLMs right now? Because there are two major challenges. First major challenge is there is no standard guideline or framework still available and stable how to do the GPU scaling so efficiently. Like most of the people who come from the cloud engineering background can relate to me. You go to any of the cloud platform and you can just set up from their GUI. Okay, this is how my CPU scaling should be working. Okay, that's very, very straightforward. GPU scaling is not that straightforward. Okay, and there are a lot of frameworks out there, but they are not stitched up together in terms of an ecosystem right now. That's where people are really, really struggling how to scale up their applications based on the dynamic traffic patterns that they are experiencing. Okay. And that's where there are different known cloud providers are playing their game in terms of like segregating their services as well. Okay. So they have their own models, and they said that, oh, we have a partnership with XYZ model providers and all those stuff. Why this going on? Like you can see on a certain cloud platform, one proprietary model available in 3 different services. Why they are doing that? Because they have to solve for this GPU scaling issue. So it's not that any individual person is facing that. If you are actually developing and in a verge of deploying it and GPU scaling is not working for you, it's not your problem. Okay, it's the ecosystem problem. And I would recommend there are quite a few frameworks which are actually making things easier. first is not just because I'm from Nvidia, I'm just not advocating that, but they are actually building the open source framework called NeMo and NeMo Microsoft that is actually based on Kubernetes ecosystem, which is robust, where you can actually scale up your LLMs. And another open source project called Ivory or LLM, Ray LLM. They are the people who actually solve this problem. Okay. So if you're struggling, if any of the devs right now listening and struggling with the GPU scaling, definitely check out those things. Okay.
Okay.
Why I'm emphasizing on the deployment part is because people stuck there and they say that, oh, I have built the model, but I can't deploy it.
Right.
That's not the right strategy. I have to now upfront pay to any of the cloud provider, any of the amount of money to run my business. But that's not the case. Okay. Just stick with your strategy for a longer period of time. With this time frame, you can definitely have that hacky solution where you wanted to like use different LLMs, but don't just say that, oh, this is not going to be possible. It is going to become very, very rewarding after 2 to 3 years time frame, because then you know your customer base, you know exactly how your model is performing. You are giving them security that nobody else can provide. And then last but not the least, you have a much more reliable partnership with them. Okay.
Right.
Let's say the situation where OpenAI fails or Cloud fails. What is the answer that you will give to your customer? Oh, right. Because I have integrated Cloud, it's not working. My system is down. Okay. So that's ideally not an answer. And then people are actually struggling to making up the stories to convince their customer, rather having this transparency saying that, oh, this is what we are using. Okay. This is why it fails. It's okay because people love your transparency. People love the trust that you're winning. Okay. So they'll stick to your ecosystem rather than just saying that, oh, XYZ platform is uptime, is accurate, but whenever things fails, I don't know why it's failing.
Right. Right.
So this is like a larger picture in terms of people. I just want having just one advice. If you're building your own LLMs and wanted to deploy it, stick with it. There are a lot of challenges, but you'll get it through it. Okay. With the right framework.
Okay. So focus on whatever will help you solve the current use case, get it out the door, and then keep in touch with what's happening. And then things will kind of look better in a couple of years. Okay. So one of the other things I was curious about is you mentioned about privacy and security quite a bit, Jalaj. Could we maybe define that a little more? And when you say security, are we talking about my data being used to uptrain the model, or other aspects to it? What do you mean by security?
Yeah. So let me put it this way.
Yeah.
There are a lot of layers to privacy and security. Let me cover first of all security, and then I'll cover the privacy. There are a lot of use case. Let's say if you are making the use cases for finance domain or a life sciences domain, they are actually giving their proprietary secure data to you or your solution. Okay.
Correct.
They'll never ever want that. First of all, you actually do the uptraining your models with that data. But that's the secondary point. Most of the people are not doing it because it's not about the skill. It's all about the cost game. Okay. People have that much money to actually improve their foundation model by doing some pre-training or supervised fine tuning.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually worried about that people are using that data to fine tune further their model, but the data resides to this solution. Okay. That is what is going to be a problem, where people are not deleting those data properly, or what is happening. Let's take an example of a financial document. Let's say if you're building a reg and there is a common data store you are using. Okay. Because again, vector databases are again costly. So you said that, okay, fine, I have a 2 customer. Let me have a 2 different workspace where I have kept this data. Okay. And unfortunately, by any of the malfunction, if your LLM is exposed to this 2 workspace, okay, and this is exactly happened if you're using any of the reg application out of the box from any of the proprietary LLMs, because you don't know underlying what is the architecture looking like for the vector databases. So what do I mean by that, where you have a custom LLM? So basically, think it from this perspective, where you actually have data separately for your different users and everything. But LLM actually uses some kind of a personal data and throws it up in front of your user. Okay, that's again kind of a security thing. I would say it's a privacy plus security thing. So that's where I would say a lot of guardrails people are building. Okay, it's not like that. All these LLMs are actually coming up with this measurement. They can do hallucination. They are doing it. They are also throwing up like random personal information about anybody. Okay, and people, and we all know in this ecosystem, there are a lot of Reddit groups where people are saying that, oh, I can able to do the jailbreak in this famous uh, conversation bot as well, and all those kind of incidents are very, very common. So that's where I would say security, you can impose and you can be transparent around this, what kind of a security measurement you're doing, if you have a full control over what you are deploying and how you're deploying. If you are using any of the LLMs or a Gen AI solution upfront, you don't know what is going behind the scene. Okay. And that's where I'm the big advocate of the open source or a custom workflows, because then you can give a guarantee to your company, your leadership, that this is how we build it. This is how we are deploying it. And these are the good part about what we have actually took as an action item to provide a security to our users, versus what are the things that we are not providing right. So giving that transparency is going to be a huge help, rather than just saying that, oh, we are a most secure and privacy driven solution provider. Those are very, very, I would say, diplomatic statements which are being used in this ecosystem, but that's not the case. Okay. Now let's come back to the point around the privacy aspect. Okay? Given that, let's say if you're using any of the foundation model, or if you are using any of the fine-tuned model, basically the foundation models have some kind of a data which they shouldn't be using, and that's not like an intentional thing for them. Okay, let's say there are some kind of a data pre-processing pipeline that couldn't identify Jalaj's name, like oh, Jalaj is an author and she actually belongs from India. Okay, now ideally LLM shouldn't be knowing that, oh, I'm an Indian author. Okay, I can raise an proper problem that why my personal information is being fed to the training group. But that's not in your control. Your data processing and data transformation pipelines are not that much strong that it can avoid each and everything. And given that you are actually doing supervised fine tuning based on this open source and based on this proprietary models, you need to keep in mind that yes, there are some kind of content which are actually being used there, which can violate the privacy of anybody in the world. For that matter, safe assumption is your user base. Okay. So that's where you need to be very sure that yes, and how you can actually say that only by providing the transparency that, okay, we have our custom LLM, but that custom LLM has been trained using this suite of open source model, or this suite of basically proprietary models. Okay. And we are putting enough guardrails to actually make sure that not there is no leakage of the information, or there is no private information is going to be leaked out in any of the scenarios. Okay. So that's where I would say right now the community is much more emphasizing on building the guardrail solution rather than actually building the next gen LLMs, because even the next gen LLMs are going to have this kind of a problem at a lesser extent, but they are going to have. Okay. So that's why basically security aspect as well as this privacy aspect go hand in hand. And as a solution provider, think it from that perspective. You need to dictate that. If you and if you are providing the custom solution, then you can dictate it. Otherwise, you can't. If you are using somebody else's solution to make that workflow available to your customer, that's where you struggle the most, because you can't answer those critical questions where customer is saying that, are you deleting my data? I'm in Europe right now. What is the guarantee that my personal information is not actually being used by any other users, because you are also providing the right kind of a use case, and I have my document uploaded. Okay. And that's where people can debate very blindly, oh, people shouldn't be actually uploading the sensitive details. That is what users can do.
And just on the last topic, Jalaj, so in just terms of user adoption, customer adoption, where do you think this is headed in the next 12, 18, 24 months? Things going to deployment and production?
Perfect. So I think GenAI, the good part is cost can be reduced drastically if the adoption is going to be really, really high. Okay. So most of the company, they need to actually work on two aspects. How they can increase their user adoption, and how can they provide their user a unique UX experience, an entire ecosystem around what they need. Okay. If they can actually give their users these things, the adoption will be really, really high. And let's be very, very honest. Most of the people are having that dilemma in their head. Oh, GenAI is a new thing. It will pass on. Is something related to like kind of an era of a blockchain where people are actually talking a lot about it and never ever fly down. Okay. But I would say GenAI is going to be here because larger companies are there. Who are pouring their money, who are pouring their effort and skills to make it successful. So it's going to be really, really changing the technical aspects also, and the software engineering aspects also. So that's why you need to keep in mind that, like, you need to learn these technologies if you're new to this, and give your shot to actually pursue the career in this, because it's going to be persist here. And yes, that is what I can say to our developers as well, that just be into the space, try out, explore different things, and never ever give up. You will find the path at the end of the day.
Awesome. That was a great motivational way to wind this up. Thank you so much for your time to do this, Jal. I really appreciate it. It was very, very helpful.
Thank you so much, Binny and Project Pro team, to actually having me on the show.
Thank you.